We are back on your screen this beautiful morning with the program from the Dailies. This is a program or a segment where we analyze stories that are making headlines in our national dailies in Nigeria and also look at the international scene too. And so you are right on time if you want to know what is happening in your country and talking about current affairs and the situation of the country. My name is Joyce Akwari and joining me in the studio is Lois Turaki. Lois, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
You look beautiful.
Thank you, you too.
All right, Lois and I shall be analyzing the stories today on this segment, and I just want to remind our viewers that 30 minutes into the program, that's by 9:30, you can call in. That's the time that the phone lines will be open, so you can call in to make your contributions, your inputs, and even whatsoever you want to say on the show. But please remember that you should maintain a good language. You should not be too offensive with your language, and no insults on the show. So you should just go straight into what you have to say. That's your contribution, and you have just 30 seconds to make it. And when it's time, we shall open the phone line. So thank you very much for joining us today. We would like to start with the first paper, but of interest is what is trending on the papers today is the Tinubu's presidential ambition. I know a lot of Nigerians have feelings about it, have comments about it. So I would like to hear, I am desperate to hear what people will be saying, because if I'm to analyze that situation, I think I'll be partial, or I'll be biased in analyzing based on my personal intuitions or based on my personal comments. But I would like to hear from Nigerians what they think about this, and that's his ambition to be president of Nigeria, the kingmaker himself. Sure. Well, Lois, let's take the first paper. I know that when we start,
definitely
we'll have more comments. Yes.
Yeah. So from the first newspaper, we have The Nation. Tinubu, my presidential ambition, a lifelong dream. That's the big story. And then workers picket National Assembly complex. You can find that story on page 8. And 5 terrorists killed. That story is on page 1. Then Makinde promises befitting funeral for son. That story is found on page 29. 90 arrested at Lagos airport for fake COVID-19 certificate. If you're interested in that story, you can find that on page 28. And JAM tells varsities police to conclude 2021 admission. That story is found on page 5. Hope not lost for Leah Sharibu's rescue, says military. That story is found on page 28. Just a little on Leah's story. It has been long overdue, or stretched for a long time now. We've heard stories of the military trying to rescue Leah Sharibu, how she has given birth in the terrorist dens, and a whole lot of story that has stretched over the years. And it's just so hopeful this morning that we can see that the military is saying there's still hope for her to get rescued from the terrorist den.
Well, I am hopeful too, but Nigerians have lost hope over time, just like you said, because this situation has been stretched over the years. This was a situation of kidnapping or adoption in her little village, then with other people. And we've heard rumors of how she was married off, how she has given birth, how she's in a different town, how just so many rumors that nobody is coming to say, okay, this is the real situation, or this is the unfolding story. We are left in the dark just with the rumors that we hear, and we don't want to believe if it is true or not. You know, we have a lot of people that are fighting this case, that are fighting for her to be released. We even have our general secretary, that's ECWA general secretary, with who has the CSW organization, more like an advocate NGO. you know, they are always talking about this, about the release, advocating for her to be released, even trying to know what the situation is about, even bringing her story back so that at least it will still be in the news that, okay, this is what is happening, so that it won't be like a forgotten story, you know, of just being kidnapped and that's all will be that will happen with the story. And if you look at it, it has been progressive to the point that kidnapping is not, it has been watered down to something not really a problem, not really an issue anymore. You can be kidnapped and it will be in the news and people will be like, oh wow, that's it, and the story, life goes on. So many of these things, I think they are ills in our society. And for Leah, my heart is with her. I know how I've watched interviews of her mother, that's through the CSW advocate program, that's the NGO. I've seen the pain of how she expressed her pain on the situation, and imagine you losing your child through this, and you know that the child is not dead, the child is somewhere praying every day, asking for help. Where will I see my family? Where will I see my mother? And maybe she is a mother as herself, and there is no help coming. You know that the government, the system has failed you. So it's so sad.
It's sad. We just want to reach out to families that the people are in the terrorist den, that God will help get these people rescued. You shouldn't lose hope. Still on the Nation newspaper, on sports, Nigeria faces testy tie against Egypt in African Cup of Nations in Cameroon, and staged to get 61.2 billion survival pill, 61.2 billion naira survival pill, and Malami's many controversies. The story can be found on page 15, and that's it for the Nation's newspaper.
Okay, moving on to Business Day, I have a big story here, how Nigeria can get more from 1.5 billion US dollars start-up funding. And this is a big story on Business Day. You know, Business Day is all about the business in Nigeria and even abroad. That Nigeria sees largest increase in UK scholarships. I think this is a good one. Then we have what Africa will gain as continent's payment system debuts, and that story can be found on page 2 of Business Day newspaper. Most valuable turns in AFCON, and that also can be found on page 2. Most valuable teams in AFCON, page 2 of the Business Day newspaper. And that's all for the Business Day newspaper. If Lois, please, if you can take Nigerian Tribune.
Okay, on the Nigerian Tribune, the big story says, I will contest, I have told Buhari, Tinubu. That story can be found on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. And 2021 UTME, fate of over 600,000 eligible candidates hangs. The story can be found on page 8. High cost of food, most farmers now in IDP camps can go to farmers stakeholders. The story can be found on page 13 of the Nigerian Tribune. Decline comment on Osinbajo's ambition, wants President NAS to review Electoral Act Amendment Bill, assures on APC National Convention. FAAN arrest over 90 touts at Lagos, Abuja airports. The story can be found on page 7 of the Nigerian Tribune. I plan to kidnap my boss to raise 1.5 million naira for Christmas. The story can be found on page 26, according to a sales boy. Enugu turns bloody, 5 killed. Vehicle race, commuters stranded. The story can be found on page 26. Medical doctor dies of Lassa fever. The story can be found on page 7 of the Nigerian Tribune. Families now have say on how departed Ogun Obas will be buried. Abiodun signs new chieftaincy law. The story can be found on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune. ECWA countries to shut borders against Mali. Recall ambassadors reject junta's transition schedule. The story, if you're interested in it, it can be found on page 2. And Edwin Clark falls Buhari's rejection of state police, says both federal government, states guilty of abuse, insists on restructuring. The story can be found on page 4. That is all for the Nigerian Tribune.
Okay, I would like us to talk on the big story on the Nigerian Tribune, which says 2023 presidency. I will contest, I have told Buhari, and this is coming from Tinubu. Before we continue that, I just want to remind our viewers that we are live on Facebook and on YouTube. So you can drop in your comments or your suggestions, your contributions, and we'll take it live on the show today. So, Lois, just now, I just want to ask this, your personal opinion on this comment from Tinubu or his ambition or his presidential ambition. What do you think? Just your personal comment. It doesn't have to do with, okay, this is what you think Nigerians will do or whatsoever. Personally, what would you say about that?
Personally, I don't think Buhari should, Tinubu rather, should come out for presidential, to be a candidate, because I think these people have been in power for long, as in since when we were still kids. We've been hearing of the same people that still recycling amongst them. Why not we bring fresh people, new people that have ideas that can rule the world? You know, ideas rule the world. Because if you look at the issue of democracy and other kind of system of government happening in the world now, there are ideas of people that are not even alive. So we bring people of great ideas that can rule the world, because right now in Nigeria we have a lot of issues ranging from insecurity, economy,
kidnapping, banditry, terrorism,
and all of that. And so we need people that can bring hope to Nigeria. Like Tinubu now coming to say he's coming up for presidential election. People are the same circle and all of that. But when someone else comes out, yesterday I was watching the interview of Daily Momodu with Arise TV, and he was saying he wants to contest for the 2023 presidential election. I heard his aspirations, his visions, which is to me personally is kind of encouraging. When he comes out, we'll see maybe a difference, because okay, he has been in in politics for a while, but he is not as popular, would like to use that word, as Tinubu. But like when people like him come out, we can maybe say, okay, this is a different circle out of the normal people we always see.
Well, for me, him coming out, I don't really see it as anything that's Dele Momodu. But, you know, people talk very beautifully. Then when they are given the position, they do something very ugly. They end up not doing what they offered in their speech, in their campaign, and what have you. Now, we are tired. Nigerians are tired of hearing beautiful stories of what I will do if I'm given this opportunity. Then you are given the opportunity, then you mess up the opportunity and you make Nigerians feel bad for even putting you in that position. Then you start the guilt tripping, or you start bringing up cases like, okay, it was a former administration that did this and I inherited it, so I don't have anything to do about it, or so many of these things. Why did you stand before Nigerians and to promise them that this is what you will do? Then at the end of the day, you are given the office based on trust. Because you said it, we believe you, just like what you are saying. When he was talking, you know, there was that sense of trust that came upon you to say, okay, let's try this man. But no, Nigerians might have, some Nigerians or different people might have different opinions about this. They will feel, okay, this person that is talking is just, you know, he just wants to sell whatsoever it is. Then based on the Tinubu's presidential ambition, I feel we should be critical about it too. There's nothing in having this ambition. Okay, you want to be president, you want to succeed Buhari, and you're also telling him that, okay, you would like to succeed him. It's okay. But what is it that we really want to see, like a change in Nigeria? You know, we've always preached about getting your PVC. I think we've done a beautiful campaign even on ECWA television, and people are already anticipating 2023. It should be something different. It should be something promising. It should be something that, like me, I'm already looking forward to it. I want something different. I want a change. I want someone that will be in the position and will really do the work, not someone that will be in the position and later will come with excuses that, okay, no, I inherited these problems from the former administration, or I am too old to do this and age is already telling on me, or just so many of these things. No, we are tired of stories. We want something different, and that's why we're encouraging people to go out, get your PVC, be sure on who we really want to vote, because you have the choice. It's your civil right to be voted and to vote for someone. So please get your PVC, go out, get ready. When it's time for elections, go out and vote your candidate. So moving on, I would like to take the Daily Sun, and on the Daily Sun we have 2023 Tinubu notifies Buhari of presidential ambition, and the writer says, Afenifere Ohaneze, ACF, MBF, others divided. 57 groups endorse Osibajo. Only PDP can rescue Nigeria, and this is coming from Dailies. You see what I'm talking about? Choices. People, so many people can say, okay, this is a person that will rescue Nigeria, or this is an individual that will rescue Nigeria, or this is a political party that will. But what is it that we really want to see the change? It's not, sometimes it's not even about the party at all. It's about the integrity of the person. It's about his commendations. It's about what he has done before. What is it? We can't pick a name and say, okay, because this person spoke beautifully on TV, so that should be our next president. No. It has nothing to do with his speech at all, but the work that he will be doing at the end of the day. That's where evaluation will come up. You know, after how many days, let's say 100 days in office, what were you able to do? You start keeping record. After this period of time in office, what have you been able to achieve? And your achievement doesn't have to do with the basic needs of Nigeria. Okay, you paid salaries. Okay, you provided water here. You brought road. No, we want to see something beyond and above all these things. What were you able to bring from another country to this country that's talking about investment, infrastructure, health? You know, what is expected or what is found in developed countries? Were you able to introduce it to your own country, you know, for lives to be better and for lives to be advanced? Is that what can be on your record? You shouldn't tell me about the borehole that you dug in maybe one village that maybe there was no water and all. No, is your responsibility to do it.
Actually, this just reminded me of something Tim said, that he wants to build on the foundation that the present president has lead. And then I was thinking, are you trying to build on the 40% unemployment rate to 60%, or you're trying to make the whole situation? Because right now people are on the edge. People are suffering. Let me use that word. People are suffering from lack of food, the hiking prices of goods and commodities in the market. Are you coming to build on that foundation, or what? You're supposed to do something even better, or say you want to do what you want to do, not building on a foundation that we feel it's not even solid enough. So I was just thinking of all of that when.
And you know, when we talk on things like this, sometimes I don't even blame these people that come out to say they want to, this is their ambition, they want to run for presidency. No, they have the experience. They've been in the game. Like Sibo, he is a kingmaker. He has made so many presidents and all. Then you can see a former head of president coming back to say, okay, he wants, because they feel they have the experience. Most times I blame the youth. Who is that representative that you are bringing up to say, okay, this is your person? Imagine we sit, we whine that, okay, old people are coming to lead us, they don't have the initiative, they will recycle projects, they will just sit, eat the money and go. But who is your representative? If you are crying, you are shouting that you don't want this person, bring up somebody. Tell us, okay, this is the person, this is the representative, this is what we want to see. This person has integrity, he has the ability, he has the capacity. Tell me, Lois, won't every youth go out to vote this certain person?
Of course.
We should have a representative, and he should be put across everywhere, all the nation, that this is the person that we want, and we'll vote for him, and we'll see the change that we want. It's about youth being in governance. It's about the young people, you know, trying to see what can be the change in the administration of their country. We should not just sit down and whine and say we don't want this person. Because if you are just saying it at the end of the day, the person will be, and you have nothing to say, and the person will come and tell you that you didn't vote for him, so what he is providing, you won't benefit from it. So it's so sad. On another story, Akeredolu steps up campaign against beef in Southwest. Rider urges people to embrace poultry instead. IPOB explains proposed cow meat ban in Southeast. And we have Nigerians want state police, says Clark tells Buhari, and that story can be found on page 26 of the Daily Sun. Bishop Kuka denies DSS invitation, page 27 of the Daily Sun. I've been following this story, and if you have interest, just like me, you can get this paper so that you can read more on the story too. EFCC grills 22 suspected oil thieves, recovers 152 billion naira, 538.6 trillion naira in 221, and that story can be found on page 5 of Daily Sun. NLC attacks NAS over bill to outlaw industrial action, page 27 of the Daily Sun. 2023, PDP must unite for acceptable presidential candidate. And the last story here is gunmen adopt Imo ex-speaker for others, page 5 of the Daily Sun paper. Let's move on.
Okay, on the Daily Trust newspaper, we have Kaduna parents, teachers reject 4-day work policy. APC governor splits over convention date. This can be found on page 31 of the Daily Trust newspaper. On sports, Super Eagles begin 19th AFCON campaign with the Pharaohs tests. Those interested in sports, you can get that story on page 31. The big story says, Tinubu to Buhari, I want to succeed you. And it says, nothing stops kingmaker from becoming king. There can be only one aspirant, Professor Oshibajo Group. Nobody will get our ticket on the silver platter, says APC. It's a smart move. According to Dawn, the story can be found on page 5. Keke riders lose over 300 million naira in one-day strike in Kano. Standard Charter to shut half of Nigerian branches. The story can be found on page 7. On insecurity, kidnapping, fish farmers abandon farms in Kwara. And this reminds me of the speech of the president that says we should go back to the farm. And then they keep kidnapping these people. How do we get to go back to the farm and get food for consumption and also for the ones the farmers take to the markets for other people to buy, and then you find out that these bandits and the terrorists, whoever they are, they just kidnap all these people and then make life so difficult for the farmers back in the village. I remember before, when you go to the villages to just rest from the hustle and bustle of the city, but now you can't even go to the village to go and do anything. So even going back to the farm, as the president is saying, is a difficult task for Nigerians to do.
And you know, if before you make comments like that, you should be able to know, even in your heart, that yes, you've provided security for the people, you've provided everything that is necessary for people to feel safe, even in their homes and even in their farms. These farmers provide a huge GDP of the nation, because it's from their food production that they sell. You know, they advance the country based on economy, and also for domestic use, that's the consumption and all. But if we have the headers crisis, the headers farmers crisis, we have the kidnapping on the farms, we have the killings on the farms, who will be able to go to the farm? Trust me, Lois, there are so many youths that want to go into agriculture, but they are scared. We've seen, I have a friend that he has a farm in one of the villages here in Jos Plateau State. You remember when people go to the farm to cut down their crops and all, he was affected too, and he lost a lot of money, and that was his only source of income. Imagine, how will you have the heart, you know, to still go back into this? It's like investing in something and it's not profitable at all anymore. Will you want to do it? No. And you know that, okay, the government is not even providing security for you, and this is honest job that you are trying to do. You know, you are trying to feed your family, you are trying to earn from it, and at the end of the day your farm is being vandalized. It's so wrong. And I don't know if the president is saying we should go back to the farm. I think maybe he didn't get the memo on the killings on the farms.
Definitely. The last story says Nigeria, Greece signed MOU on economic security. The story can be found on page 4. Let's go to the next news.
Okay, before we move on to the next, I would like us to take a break right now, where we can open the phone line, so that when we come back, our viewers can call in to make their contributions, and also you can drop your comments also on our Facebook and on our YouTube page, because we are live on these platforms. So when we are back, the phone number will be displayed on your screen, and you can call us to make your comment. Remember, when you call, you move away from your television set, or you turn it down completely, so that we'll avoid interference from you and us here in the studio, and we'll be able to hear you clearly. And you have just 30 seconds, and if you have much to say, we can permit you to go for 1 minute, then drop your contribution and move on to the next caller. So let's take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. And if you are just tuning in, you've missed the first part of the show, and this is the second part, where we've opened the phone lines so that you can call in to make your contribution. And as a refresher, or just like I say, if you are just tuning in, we are talking about the stories that made the papers today. That's Tuesday, and most of what is trending on the papers are the Tinubu's presidential ambition. That we have the killings of farmers on their own farms. That's talking about insecurity. Then we have so many of these stories. I would like to hear from you what you think of them. Your opinions matter on this show, so please call in and make your contributions, or drop your comments on Facebook and YouTube. And Facebook and YouTube is at ECWA Television. Go there and drop your comments. We'll be glad and we'll take them live on the show. Still with me in the studio is Lois Turaki, and we've been doing this together. And just to remind you, my name is Joyce Iyakwari. So the line is, our phone line is displayed on your screen. Copy it out and call us, and we'll hear you clearly and we'll talk based on what you have to say. So moving on, I would like to take This Day newspaper, and on This Day newspaper we have the big story that says Sadiku, I was hounded by anti-reform elements for paying 5.8 billion naira to government. And this is the story, the big story on This Day newspaper. Stock market gains 1.33 trillion naira in first trading week, and ECOWAS imposes further sanctions on Mali junta. Page 1 of the This Day paper. We have so many of these stories, but the last one I would like to take is on Osibajo's salute armed forces in sustaining national unity, and this is when armed forces celebrated, and the armed forces celebration, sorry, and this is what Osibajo had to say about that. If you want the story, This Day paper and read more details on it. Then that's all for the This Day paper. I would like us to move on to the next one, which is the Punch.
On the Punch newspaper, the big story says Ohaneze Films alleges injustice as Tinubu declares presidential bid. I have informed Buhari of my ambition. He did not ask me to stop, says APC leader. Tinubu's presidential ambition not rooted in equity, justice, it's Igbo's turn, says Ohaneze. The story can be found on page 2 of the Punch. Kwankwaso Rubbish's zoning begins consultations on 2023 presidential bid. The story is found on page 12 of the Punch newspaper. Suspected cultists tie Lagos casino attendants had stabbed victim to death. FRSC begins enforcement of speed limiter, arrests 7 motorists. I think this is a very nice thing they're doing, the FRSC, to limit the speed of all those motorists, because accidents are on the increase on our highways, and then when you look at it, some of these things, the drivers can be very careless when they are driving. You just be wondering how some people drive. I think mostly it's because some people just learnt driving on their own, not going to the driving school or something. So when you look at some of these things,
it's not even about learning driving without going to the driving school. I think it's more about making money. It's more about getting the passengers filled in your car, then going to your next location, maybe in next another state. Let's say from Plateau State now, you go to the park, you see the buses are filled up, then they go to maybe Nasarawa State, and they are in a hurry to fill up the bus to come back. And some is a competition between themselves that they fill up the bus again and go back to Nasarawa State. But we have a caller. I would like us to take Musa. Musa is calling us. So Musa, please, if you can hear us, go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, I think this issue of Tinubu coming for 2023.
Hello, Musa.
I think as far as I'm concerned, Tinubu is among the cabals that are ruling this.
Hello, Musa. Are you still on the line?
Yes. I don't think it's advisable for
Musa, if you can hear us, please go ahead with your contribution. You are live on the show, and it is from the Dailies on ECWA Television Africa. Okay, if you are having problem with your reception, please, you can call us back so that we can hear what you have to say today on the show. And Lois, like I was saying, so you see, it's mostly like money making, competition, and people's life are put on at risk, because you as a passenger, you don't really care about, okay, what they have to do, like going back and forth. No, but for them, maybe they have, what is it called now? Like a limit of what they want to achieve achieve for the day, like a target, sorry, of what they want to achieve for the day. They would like to go to natural state, come back and go back and come, and it's money making for them without any regard for lives.
Back on the paper,
okay, we have another caller from Kaduna. Please, what is your name? And we okay, we already know where you're calling us from, so you can go ahead with your contribution. Hello, can you hear us, please? Okay, as we wait for you to decide if you want to talk to us, we have a comment on Facebook which says, awesomeness at ECWA, rejoice and Yepi Bok. Well done. Well, the person with me in the studio today is the Yepi Bok. This is Lois Turaki, and we've been doing this together. And thank you very much. This comment is from Raphael Daniel. We appreciate you for watching. Even as we wait for more callers to call, because this is the segment where callers call to make their contribution. So this is your own segment that's talking about the viewers. We would like to go ahead with the stories.
P and ID from paid $9,969 into director daughter's accounts before agreement signing, says witness. The story can be found on page 9 of the Punch newspaper. Devalue currency further, raise interest rates. IMF tells Nigeria others. The story can be found on page 21. EFC's.
Okay, we have another caller, Lois, and this is Abel Ishaya from Kaduna State. Abel, good morning. You're welcome to the show. Good morning, Abel. Can you hear us? Okay, I think I will have to wait for you to call us back. Lois, please.
Okay, still in the Punch newspaper. EFCC rearrest Mofa for alleged 32.9 billion naira money laundering. If you're interested in this story, it can be found on page 11 of the Punch newspaper. Okay,
is that all for the Punch?
Yeah, that's all for the Punch.
Okay, you just decided that that's all for the Punch. So I will move to the Guardian paper, and okay, we have to take Abel Ishaya from Kaduna State. He's calling back. Abel Ishaya, good morning. You're welcome to the program from the Dailies. Hello, Abel Ishaya. Okay. If you are having a problem with your reception, we are also live on Facebook and your YouTube. You can just drop your comments there and we can read it out. That's if you have a problem with reaching us here in the studio. And we have on the Guardian newspaper, Tinubu confirms presidential ambition, says, I am a king maker. I want to be king. I love his confidence. Tinubu, I have informed Buhari of my lifelong ambition to be president. This is the writer, and furthermore, he has what it takes to be president, and this is why CE Secretary General coalition of 57 youth groups endorse Osibajo as Buhari's successor. Okay, I'll have to hold on here so that I can talk to Samson from Yola. Samson, if you can hear us, this is from the Dailies and you are live on the show. You're welcome. Hello, Mr. Samson.
Yeah, good morning.
All right. Hello, Mr. Sampson. Okay, so we have to wait for you to call us back. Moving on, only PDP can rescue Nigeria, says Diri and Wike. Why PDP must not zone Nigerians' presidency to the south, Kwankwaso. And more stories here says Lagos forecloses plans to seal schools over resumption dates. Page 3 of the Guardian paper. I think we have a caller, and she it is a female, so I am happy to welcome you to the show. Please go ahead with your contribution, stating your name and your location, please. Good morning. Hello. All right, my excitement has been cut short, so I will move on with the stories on the Guardian newspaper. And more on the Guardian, troops kill 5 bandits for kidnap attempt in Kaduna. News page 5. Gunmen adopt ex-assembly speaker, 4 others in Imo State, and this can be found on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. And talking about Lagos forecloses plans to seal schools over resumption dates. I know this story trended on our papers. Okay, I have to hold on my thoughts because we have Samson from Yola back on the line. Samson, if you can hear us, please go ahead with your contribution. Hello, Mr. Samson. Hello, Mr. Sampson.
Hello, good morning.
Okay, I think we can hear each other. Oh, well, we have to move on. Mr. Sampson, thank you very much for calling us from Yola, and I hope Yola is very fine today. And even our caller from Kaduna State and so many more that have issues reaching us in the studio, you should know that we appreciate you. And another option you can drop your comment is on Facebook and on YouTube because we are live there. So just search for ECWA Television and you will see us there. There you can drop your comment. Lois, let's take the next paper.
Okay, the Vanguard newspaper says, with bandits now declared terrorists, we'll give them bloody nose, says CDS rabble. Sit at home partial compliance in Southeast states. The story can be found on page 11 of the Vanguard newspaper. Still on sports, Eagles go for Pharaoh's jugular. The big story says electricity. Federal government's PPI Siemens back on track investigation. And anti-graft war, EFCC recovers 152 billion naira, that's $386 million in 2021. The story can be found on page 1 of the Vanguard newspaper. Listen to Nigerians, established state police says Clark replies Buhari. And still on 2023, it's my lifelong ambition to become president, says Tinubu. Boundary disputes, Oshibajo summons deputy governors to Aso Rock. And new chief's law, Ogun monarchs now have rights to choice of burial, says Governor Obiodun. This is all the stories on the Vanguard newspaper.
Okay, I would like to take Daily Independence paper today, and it's still talking about the 2023 elections and the Tinubu's presidential ambition. I have confidence, capacity to rule Nigeria, and this is Tinubu, says Buhari, not averse to his lifelong presidential plan. We have been vindicated by Tinubu's declaration, and this is coming from Swagger. He should quit the stage for younger politicians, and this is coming from Shelley. And so many reactions, so many comments from different people and different agencies about the Tinubu's presidential ambition. Lassa fever kills doctor, 2 others in Benue State, and this story can be found on the Daily Independence. Fan arrests 90 persons at Lagos Abuja airports over touting extortion. Page 6 of Daily Independence. Osibajo deputy governors meet over boundary crisis. Page 4 of Daily Independence. Then we have the fiscal deficit funding, subsidies reform present risks to inflation. This is a story also on the Daily Independent. With bandits declared terrorists, we will defeat them. And this coming from Army Chief, and this story can be found on page 29 of Daily Independence. And I think Nigerians have reactions on this comments by the Army Chief. If bandits are now declared terrorists, you can defeat them. We would like to see the progression. We would like to see your plans. We would like to see, okay, you are keeping to your words that yes, you will defeat them, because now they've been tagged something. They've been tagged as terrorists. So you have the free will to do as the law says you should. So we are hopeful that by these comments or by this speech from the army chief, will be able to defeat terrorism in Nigeria. Then gunmen enforcing sit at home, kill 2 burned vehicles in Enugu, Anambra State. Subsidy removal will help 2022 budget implementation. And this is coming from the CSOs. Regime responsible for Nigeria's economic woes. Page 7 of Daily Independence. And these are all the stories today on our papers, and the final paper that I just took is the Daily Independent. Lois, before we go, briefly, you have anything to say from all the stories we've read? Any interest, just like what I said about the bandits being declared terrorists? It has been a long wait, because a lot of agencies, a lot of people have asked the government to declare these certain people or certain group terrorists, so that they will know how to be dealt with, instead of having so many names, bandits or non-gunmen, what have you, so many of these things. But if all these are categorized under one, we'll know that okay, this is what the law is saying about terrorists in Nigeria, or what is even obtainable in Nigeria, how they should be dealt with, how they should be punished, and now is a good news that they've been declared this. So any form of any activity that looks like terrorism, you should know that okay, this is what is obtainable, and this is the punishment that will be given to you as a terrorist or a bandit or an unknown gunman that will be known at the end of the day. So what do you think about that situation?
It's a good thing that the government have done that, because just like you said, it has long been overdue for them to do that. So at this point in time now, they have been declared terrorists, then the military should be able to up their game and do what they are supposed to do. All the Tucano aircraft that have been bought last year should be used to their maximum to see that these bandits that are now declared terrorists will be able to they should do away with them, so that people can go back to their normal lives, just as we've seen how things have taken a bad shape in the country because of their activities for the past years. We've seen how because of all these things, just like we mentioned earlier about farmers not being able to go to their farms because they are scared of being butchered or being kidnapped and all sorts of atrocities. But now if the military do what they are supposed to do in tackling this situation, people will, or Nigerians, let me say, will be able to do their normal activities like we've always been doing before the insurgency started. And then I remember the interview of the governor of Kaduna State that said he was suggesting that they should have a carpet bombing in all the terrorists. Then he caught a lot of people's attention, and some people said, how about those people that have been kidnapped? What happens to them? If you say they should do carpet bombing, that means killing all those people that have been kidnapped. And some people said it's okay, like they have to be the collateral damage or something. But then I don't even know what to think of it, because so many people will be affected, not just the bandits who are terrorists, but innocent lives will be destroyed. Talking of Leah Sharibu, who is part of those captives, you see, this hope that we saw on the paper today, the military saying there's still hope for her rescue. You see, people like her will not be alive to tell the story. So
true. And you just mentioned Kaduna State, and that reminds me of something I watched yesterday on social media that didn't make the news at all. There was a truckload of people more than 200 that were rescued from the Boko Haram den, or more like they were released from the den of kidnappers. And it's so sad that didn't make the news, and I can't confirm a source because it was trending on social media, where someone picked his phone, he was recording and he was analyzing that, okay, these are the people that were just freed, and it was in the bush. We had the women, the old women, the young boys, the elderly, so many of these people, and they counted over 200 of them, and this happened in southern Kaduna. And the person analyzing said, okay, they were kidnapped for a while, for months, you know, and they were just released yesterday in the bush, and they brought trucks, you know, to help them get to their destination. It's so sad that things happen like that, that even when things happen like that, some governors of states come out to say people report differently, there is yellow journalism, and is to tarnish their image or reputation as governors of that state. No, I think things are even underreported. It's not about over or exaggerating it. No, there are so many Lois, there are so many experiences even in your community that don't get to the papers, and it's not like you wonder, you feel okay when people come out to say they are yellow journalism or is overhyped, and you wonder, well, but you don't know what is happening in my community, you don't know what is happening in this state, you don't know what just happened. There are so many of these stories, and we're still talking insecurity, we're still talking kidnapping and all. Just like you said, we're hopeful that the army chief will stand by his words and end terrorism by the grace of God in Nigeria. So many of these stories we see every day, but we are hopeful that God will come to our rescue, because that's where our foundation is. We do not put our trust in anyone but in God, and that's why we are hopeful too that 2023 elections will be successful, and someone credible, you know, will come out to rule Nigeria with the fear of God. And we would like to close on that note, but I just want to remind our viewers again that ECWA Television Africa appreciates you. We are very grateful for everything, for watching us and sending your comments and even calling us on the show. And this is to remind you of our merchandise that are on sale. We have 14 hymnal albums that are on sale, and you can purchase them on www.edims.com, or you can come to our physical office, which is at the ECWA headquarters, to get your copies. 14 amazing albums from Evangel Art of ECWA. And we have the ECWA Television Africa 3rd edition magazine that's celebrating 3 years, and which we tagged Waxing Strong, so you can get it too, so that you can keep up with what we do and you know our affairs in ECWA Television. Thank you very much for watching this segment of the Dailies with me, Joyce Iyakwari, and Lois Turaki in the studio. We'll see you tomorrow with another fresh episode. So stay blessed. We love you and we are grateful, and thank you also to our ECWA executive for this platform. God bless you.